think we know who we are. We have names, stories, a timeline, people who know us, and those who don't, successes, failures, a favorite song, a passport number, a profession, a city where no one was waiting for us. But here's the truth. None of this is us. It's a shell, a profile, an interface, a simplified version for quick identification, so the world knows how to deal with us. We were constructed by society. First, by parents, then by teachers, then by random people we wanted to impress, shaped by fear, conditioned by reward. We became what's easy to explain, what can be measured, what looks good in a photo. But behind it all, silence, an untouched zone, an abandoned inner garden no one taught us to enter. Each of us is shaped in a world where freedom gets punished and adaptation gets rewarded. And the scariest part, we inherit not just genes. We inherit wounds, wounds lived through by our parents, wounds passed down through generations, wounds that now whisper inside us, disguised as a voice of conscience. Otherwise, why so much hatred toward the neighbor? Since childhood, they told us that people in the country next door are not like us, and we absorbed it with mother's milk. Our thoughts are not always our own. Our desires may echo someone else's pain. Our emotions, often chemistry, not truth. Hormones rule us. Triggers program us. Marketing tells us what to feel. Even our name wasn't our choice. It was given by our parents, like a role in a play we never got to read the script for. And still, we live. The best we can, the way we were taught, the way we're used to. The real question is, who would you be if you were born in another country, in another family, with a different body, gender, name? How real is the life you're living? Where does I end and the implanted begin? We say I, but who's really speaking? The voice in the head? The body? A reaction to someone's comment? A survival algorithm installed in childhood? We didn't choose how to react. We were trained, conditioned to be convenient. Don't get angry. Don't cry. Don't draw attention. Don't be weird. Don't be yourself. And we learned. We learned to stay silent when it hurt, to smile when we wanted to disappear, to apologize when we were right, to say, I'm fine, when everything was collapsing inside. We became professionals at surviving, and over time, adaptation became identity. What once was protection turned into a personality, a version praised by others, a version built for applause and approval, a version they call successful. But that success isn't you. It's a mask, clever, efficient, but empty. Our self became a compromise between inner truth and outer expectations, between who we could have been and who the system wanted us to be. So we started living to fit in, to be understandable, predictable. We were taught to be correct, systemic, trendy, in demand, a product of the machine. And we became it, quiet when we wanted to scream, funny when everything was falling apart, agreeable while being broken. We go to jobs we hate, laugh with people who don't know us, stay when we want to leave. And at some point, we forget it was ever a mask. It becomes normal, convenient, socially acceptable. And what remains is a polished version of us, shiny, presentable, but empty. We're afraid to break the mold, afraid to be alive, afraid of not being accepted if anyone saw who we really are. So we ask, does that I even exist? Without instructions, without filters, without fear, what remains if we remove the behavioral code stitched into us by society? If we strip away everything built to survive, what's left on the surface? What if everything you call life is actually just a trap? We call it stability. but it's a cage, well decorated, comfortable, approved by others, applauded by society's standards. You go to work, you scroll through your feed, you eat food that's harmful, but brilliantly marketed. You wear what's trendy, you post what gets likes, rewarding yourself with another hit of dopamine. You speak just carefully enough not to upset your boss. Day by day, according to the script, no one holds you in chains. You hold yourself with habits, with fear, with comfort that slowly puts you to sleep. Marketing no longer sells just products. It sells identities. It tells you what to want, what to chase. This didn't start yesterday. It began in a moment you don't even remember, when you wanted to say no, but smiled instead, when you were betrayed and said, "It's okay," when you wanted to be, but chose to appear. It began in a moment you don't even remember. Just a moment, they said, but it echoed for years. You drew what you loved, and someone said, "That's ugly." You cried, and they said, "Stop it, be strong." You didn't give up. You just started hiding what was alive inside you. First, emotions, then desires, then your voice, then finally, yourself. It became clear to survive, one must be convenient, non-disruptive, easy to handle. That's when the first split appeared, the first compromise, the first crack between who you are and who you were told to be. Since then, you learned how to behave properly, to laugh when it isn't funny, to forgive when it hurts, to stay silent when everything in you wants to leave. You grew up, but inside remains the one who remembers. That day, I gave up on myself just to stay with them. And now, everything you endure, everything you suppress, everything you don't say, comes from there, from that first moment. And it's still there, you've just stopped looking at it. But maybe it's time to look beneath the mask. Behind the mask, there's no light. There's what we've hidden, what we've turned away from for years. What doesn't fit the image of the proper person. Anger, envy, desire, sexuality, manipulation, cruelty. Think it's not about you? Then why is society so obsessed with serial killers? Why do films about the most merciless criminals get tens of millions of views? Because it's a way to look inward, through the prism of those whose dark side has broken loose. All that we repress doesn't vanish. It becomes the shadow. And the shadow is not the enemy. It's a mirror. And the more we deny it, the more power it takes. It breaks through in irritability, in sarcasm, in unconscious choices, in dreams, in symptoms, in bursts of rage we're ashamed of. It lives inside, quiet, until it's too late. And if we don't face it willingly, we'll meet it in collapse. Through crisis, through betrayal, or worse, we become the main character in someone's crime headline. But this is not a curse, it's an invitation to meet the real self. We were never taught to look inward, but we're excellent at looking outward. Everything we refuse to see in ourselves, we start seeing in others. Annoyed by someone's confidence? Maybe your own voice is buried. Judging someone's aggression? Maybe you never allowed your own anger to breathe. That's how projections work. The shadow doesn't die. It just puts on someone else's clothes. And we start fighting the outside world because we're terrified to enter our own darkness. We scream, "They're the problem," instead of saying, "This is a part of me." We hate and don't notice how we become what we fight. As Nietzsche said, if you gaze long into the abyss also gazes into you. How often do we see neighboring countries hating each other, kings sending their people to die in wars against other kings? But truthfully, what conflict could truly exist between a tailor on one side and a waiter on the other? This isn't a conflict between workers, neighbors, or strangers. It's the shadow of kings, colliding through the bodies of ordinary men, not the people, but the silent hunger of wounded egos, dressed in crowns and flags, of those we once trusted with the fate of nations. Ordinary people die for someone else's projection, for power, money, and a craving for greatness implanted by the culture we live in. We move through life like death forgot about us, as if there will always be another chance, as if the important part is always later, when it's calmer, when the money comes, when they finally understand, when everything aligns. But the truth is, time doesn't wait. There are no guarantees, no promise you'll make it, no assurance they'll ever see the real you, no certainty you'll ever arrive at that magical later. People die suddenly, relationships end without explanation, bodies collapse from stress before the mind even admits there's pain. We postpone ourselves, our wants, our path, our decisions, like we're a side character in someone else's life. We tell ourselves that waiting is safer. But later is the most dangerous place. That's where all the unrealized selves go to die. You can lose money, status, even loved ones. But the worst loss is never becoming who you were meant to be. And one day, you'll look back and realize you were always waiting for the moment, the sign, someone to say, go. But all along, you just had to start, while you're still alive, while you can still move, while there's still a you. One day, the silence arrives. There's nowhere left to run. Too tired to fight the world, too tired to pretend, too tired to keep being disappointed by people. The same stories repeat, again and again. Relationships, friendship, betrayal, same script, different faces. And then you stand in front of the mirror, not the glass, the inner one, the one that doesn't let you hide. And for the first time, you ask, who am I when everything is stripped away? Strip the fear of being rejected, strip the need to be good, strip the roles, the ambitions, the masks, even strip the name, the one you were given. What's left? What remains when there's nothing left to prove to anyone? In that silence, a strange feeling begins to grow. Was this really all I was born for? You don't know where this path leads yet, but where there is darkness, you begin to see light. You find the strength to rise, to look at the life you've lived from a completely different angle, and whisper honestly to yourself, I was born for something greater. And that is the beginning, not of victory, not of success, but of returning to yourself. The first step is terrifying, but it's liberation. What were your dreams at 20, at 23, at 25? Did you follow them? Or did you take a wrong turn? And now, 30, 35, 40. Half the road behind you. Is this really all there is? You already know the answer. This is just the beginning of your path toward legacy. You lie down at night and everything seems fine. But there's that feeling, like someone was betrayed. Maybe it was you. That voice doesn't judge. It just reminds, you took the wrong turn, chose something that wasn't yours, said yes when you wanted to walk away, stayed silent when you needed to speak, bent when you should have stood tall. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks in sensations, in emptiness after victories, in irritation toward those you love, in the numbness of things that once inspired. You can drown it out with work, with music, with plans, with alcohol, but it won't disappear. It'll wait, not to punish, but to bring you back. That voice isn't the enemy. It's you, the real you, the one who hasn't given up. And if you can still hear it, there's something in you that refuses to die, even if you've called it weakness. I know, it's not easy to face yourself as you truly are, but this is the beginning of freedom. Awakening is not a moment, not a flash of light, not a magical night, not lightning striking the soul, not a movie scene, not the instant when everything changes. Awakening is a conscious choice, quiet, without applause, without music, without an audience. One day you simply wake up and realize, enough. Enough pretending, enough tolerating, enough explaining, enough being the servant of a system just to keep everyone else comfortable. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop believing someone will come save you. You stop searching for signs and become the sign yourself. Awakening is not inspiration. It's a decision to rise, to speak, to begin, even if you're scared, even if you're uncertain, even if you're shaking. You take the first step anyway, even if it's clumsy, even if it's unsure, even if you have no idea where it might lead, because from that step, someone new begins to emerge inside you, the one who knows why you were really born. And that's when everything begins to change. Awakening is not a flash, it's a conscious choice. You begin to gather yourself, piece by piece. No heroism, no drama, just honesty, remembering what once mattered to you, what you once wanted, who you were before all the compromises. You start small, you stop looking for someone to blame. You admit some of the pain was your own choice, born of fear, of habit, of laziness. You made mistakes, but it's not too late to fix them. You begin to bring order to what you already have. The place you're in now is the result of the decisions you made before. You look at yourself without regret, without pity. You accept who you are, here, now. But most importantly, you begin to look closely at who you can still become, not who they want you to be, not who you're supposed to be according to the system's plan, but who you were meant to become. Only you hold responsibility for the reality surrounding you. You no longer ask, "Why did this happen to me?" You ask instead, "What will I do with this now?" You're not a victim. You're the one who decides. Every day, every step, every choice is a brick in the life you're building. They won't understand. Let's be honest. You'll change, and some won't recognize you anymore. Some will say you've lost your way. Some will resent your honesty. Some will walk away because you no longer play by their rules. You'll become inconvenient, too direct, too quiet, too alive. And yes, there will be pain because we still want to be loved, to be accepted, to be understood. You will lose people, but if you stay true to yourself, you will gain something greater: self-respect, wholeness, a voice, a mission, the reason you were born into this life. Not everyone will understand, and that's okay. Those who stay will not stay out of fear or habit, but because they recognize themselves in you. You are not eternal. One day the body will stop, but something more will remain. Your choices, the lives you touched, the energy you lived with. The question isn't how long you'll live, but what will grow from the life you've lived. You're not just building a life, you're building a legacy, quietly, silently, every day, in the way you treat yourself, in the way you speak to others, in the things you create when no one is watching. You no longer wait for a savior. You've become the one who can lift yourself off the ground, with your own hands, with your truth, with your shadow, the one you no longer fear. Your shadow. Those darkest forces you once suppressed, they've become your weapon now. You know what to do. You know what your next step is. There's no more time to waste. Take your fears, your darkest thoughts, and turn them into fuel for a righteous purpose. Every breath is a step. Every step, a movement toward your higher purpose. Your higher purpose is why you were born into this world. This is the beginning of rebirth, the beginning of knowing why you're truly here. A year from now, you won't recognize yourself. In 3, they won't recognize you. In 5, they'll speak your name. In 10, you'll say, "It was all worth it."